All right. So we know raising kids is expensive, or at least that's what everyone keeps telling us, right? So between birthday parties, we just got out of birthday season in our family, sports, school supplies, and that latest toy that they just cannot live without. It feels impossible for us to raise kids on a budget sometimes, right? But here's what I've learned. You don't have to spend a fortune to raise financially confident kids. So have you ever felt guilty telling your kid no because of money? If that's the case, then today's episode is for you. And it is not about saving money, it's about raising kids who understand money without growing up being afraid of it. And that might be a little bit different than how you grew up, right? So, one of the things we talk about a lot on this show is sometimes our language, especially with our kids, is super important. This is where it all comes down to is what are your values as a family, and then you can build your budget from there. Our kids aren't going to remember every single toy we buy them. If you think about your childhood, do you remember every single toy you got? You might remember one's very special one, but we are more likely to remember, and same for your kids, traditions, remember time together, or how your home felt. And so that's why things like having having some more peace in your home, having less stress, and if the thing that's causing you stress right now is finances, then this episode is absolutely for you. So, some things that we do in our household that help to create to kind of checks those boxes, whether it's traditions, time together, and how our home feels, is we love our library trips. We love going to the library. My family stopped by the library today as I was on a call with the client, and it's summertime. So it's a library trip, maybe some backyard picnics, family movie nights, baking cookies together. Rethink some of the things that we tend to go on autopilot and we're like, we have to spend money to create this memory. Sometimes it is just a small expense of, buying some cookie dough and making cookies together as a family. So your budget will help you with this by spending intentionally, but not less lovingly. So budget friendly parenting is possible, and this is how it'll actually work. So some things that you can keep in mind when it comes to raising kids and buying the things that we need. You know what? Buy used whenever you can. So the cool thing about that is that checks several boxes. One of my favorite places now is to shop the Just Between Friends sale. So I did not realize how expensive kids' shoes are when I became a parent, and I was like, this is unreal. They are about the same price as adult shoes, and they grow out of them so much faster. So we started checking those sales, and I would find brand new shoes with tags still at those sales. And so check out thrift stores because a lot of times you can find brand new stuff that people have donated or have removed from their homes that is brand new. Marketplace, things like that. So, but if you can, if it's something that you can buy used, buy it used because it's going to save it from a landfill, but it's also going to keep extra dollars in your pocket that you can use for other things for your kids. This one's especially helpful if you have young kids, but rotate those toys instead of buying new ones. It's like every single time we've done that, oh my gosh, my daughter's like, "Oh, I have this new toy." She had forgotten about it. She's had it for months, maybe years sometimes, and it's just new to her. And so rotating those things is going to be another way that you can help keep that magic alive for them with their toys, but also keep your finances in check. Setting clothing budgets. Now, this is especially helpful if you have teens in your household, especially if you have older kids, helping them figure out how to stay within those guidelines and those parameters. That's a really great practical way to learn some budgeting before they leave the house. Okay, so birthdays. This one has been such a hot topic because I've been to some birthday parties for my daughter's friends that have been amazing. We've been to some really, really great birthday parties. And the one thing that I have noticed, and we've also thrown a few fun ones, is creating birthdays around experiences are really, really fun. So one of our favorite things, and it was the most cost-effective birthday we've had so far, is there's a gym you could rent out locally, and they had roller skates. And so we did a roller skating party, and now the cool thing was I could spend that same amount and have a much smaller party at a different location that might be a little bit more trendy with my daughter's friend group. But we got to roller skate, and then she got to tell all of her friends, "You can invite your whole family." And so we packed a gym full of kids and families, and we got to do something that most of us around here in our area, most of the roller skating rinks have closed, and so we hadn't been able to do it. And so it brought back some really awesome memories for myself and for the other parents, but then kids got to do something that they've never done before, and it got to be a full family experience. So sometimes it's not about the theme or, having a very, expensive party. It's about creating an experience for your kids, their guests, and planning it around that. I remember one birthday party, my daughter was like, "I just want balloons on the floor." So I was like, "That's so basic and so simple," but she was really young at the time, and that was something that stuck out in her mind from another birthday party that she went to. So we talk about those things. What's something that would bring you so much joy for your party this year? And so that's how we have started planning those experiences and planning those parties, and it helps keep the cost down a lot because we can do something that honors our daughter and brings her a lot of joy. Another way that we can continue with this budget-friendly parenting is include kids in grocery shopping. Now, this is really awesome because you can teach them to compare prices and see things what the value is of the food that they consume so that they know when they don't eat the rest of the crackers in the box and they throw it out, that has value. And those types of things, it's not going to be something that they are going to learn overnight, but it's something that they are going to, if you continue to involve them in that process, especially as they grow and develop and they learn new skills, they're going to start to see those things. And those are the types of things that translate into the adult world is they have to plan their grocery shopping. They have to do those types of things. So when we include them in the process and they come alongside us through that, that is a great way to teach them to have budget-friendly habits in the future. So remember, simple systems like this are going to be the perfect systems every single time. Sometimes it's not always what comes in the box, it's the box itself. And so I know some of the greatest moments of joy my daughter has had is when we bought a new refrigerator and you get a box with it, right? So my husband put together a whole castle for her and she loved it. So obviously this might be a little bit more effective if your kids are younger, but thinking about and having conversations with them about what is important to them and their experiences in life, and then helping them create that. And sometimes it's not just buying the latest, greatest, newest thing. It is about spending time together as a family and encouraging them to be a part of the process of day-to-day life in your household. So we talk a lot about language and how we can reframe things in our minds because especially if you are managing ADHD and money and a household all at the same time, there's a lot of plates in the air. And so our language can really go a long way with teaching our kids about money. So we talk a little bit more about this in episode 98, but if you've got some trauma in your life around money and some really big hangups, I highly encourage you to check out episode 98. I interview a trauma therapist about how that affects our spending, our stress levels, our kids, all the things. So check that out. But one of the things that we talk about in that episode is how important language is. So instead of saying something like, we can't afford that, we could switch that around and say, that's not where we're choosing to spend our money right now. And so this is really great because it teaches our kids the difference between wants and needs. It helps them to see that we are saving for goals. It helps delayed gratification. Now, this is a big one. I recently put this out on Threads and someone was like, but that doesn't seem to work in the long run, or it doesn't seem to work in the short run. And so some of the things that we talk about, especially when it comes to raising kids and instilling these habits in them, these are tiny deposits in their big future. And so these things aren't going to be overnight, just like our financial situations aren't going to change overnight. It's going to be tiny little seeds of progress that are going to grow and move and get us closer to those goals. So things like the delayed gratification and then setting priorities as a family on what your finances are. So obviously, as the parents and as the main decision makers in the household, you're going to decide those. But then when it comes to some of those smaller, priorities like, hey, we're going to, we want to do this family adventure. Would you rather go here or there? And everyone gets an opportunity to weigh in, those kinds of things. And so being able to have those healthy conversations with your kids to allow them to have some buy-in on that decision-making process, but also at an age-appropriate level. So how are some ways that you can teach your kids, especially young kids, and we'll talk about older kids here in a moment, but having things like jars set up for save, spend, give. So anytime they get money, they can put those in those those jars, and they have a visual, and they can see that getting bigger, and they can see that growing. And so sometimes if their spend jar is completely empty, they're gonna wanna try and take from that save jar. And so helping them talk through that process of what that looks like and how that is gonna be robbing from their future, those conversations are going to be really good. And the thing that's really cool about that is if they learn this concept younger and they see this and they have these visual cues to refer to later in life, that's where the gold is. And so those things are going to be something that they're gonna draw on later on. So, a couple other things are like grocery games. So, trying to, buy a certain amount of things within, you know, create a meal based on 5 items, or maybe it is, "Okay, here's the amount that you have to spend, and you're going to, create a nutritious meal from here." So this was one, especially if you have younger kids, this one you might need a little bit more help with, but that kind of stuff, creating some fun little games, maybe check out Pinterest to see if they have some more fun grocery games on there. But also, another thing that's really fun is we do like a chopped challenge. So sometimes we'll do, "Hey, you know what? We have these things in the house and we have to put those together." Now, parents, if you want a hack on that one, supercook.com is a really good one because you can put all that stuff in there and it'll give you recipes. So, if you wanna have a step ahead of your kids in that scenario. That one's also a great one for older kids, a whole family experience. So, some ways that you can encourage your kids to be more financially responsible is giving them clothing budgets that they need to stick within. So, especially older kids, birthday budgets. Now, this isn't just for their own birthdays, it's their friends' birthdays. So, this is an area I see a lot is trying to buy, expensive, elaborate gifts for maybe, a boyfriend or girlfriend or a best friend. And they, maybe they have a little bit of a job or they have some side money that they are earning, and then they want to spend all of it on a present for someone that they care about. And so this isn't necessarily about like not buying something for someone. It's putting things into perspective for them to see, all right, are they buying this because this is something that their friend really wants? Or is this their way of trying to buy something to maintain the relationship? And so that one's a big one because and this also can translate into our adulthood, if we are spending money to maintain relationships with people and buying things, maybe it comes to eating out. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a future episode. But those types of things could kind of be some beige or red flags that there might be something wrong with that relationship. And so we want to kind of rewind it and focus in on what's most important in the relationship, and buying something for someone to maybe earn their love is not necessarily going to serve you in the long run or serve your kids. So, something to think about. Another thing that a way that you can instill some good habits in your kids is if you have jobs around the house or chores and things like that that need to get done and you want to help lighten your load, is to give them a little extra money when they do those things. And I'm not necessarily talking about the things that they do to contribute overall to your household. I'm talking about some of those extra things that are something that they're capable of doing, but that are something that you would normally take care of and that they can earn some extra money. So maybe it is some yard work, maybe it is some cleaning, that type of stuff. And then also, just doing the stereotypical thing and reaching out to other, neighbors and friends to say, "Hey, do you need some extra assistance? This is what I can provide, and I'd love it if you could contribute towards some extra spending money for me." So, the big thing is that our kids are learning from watching us far more than they are learning from the things that we say. So, our language does matter, but our actions speak so much louder than our words when it comes to our money. So, that's why this next part is so very important. Okay, so mom, listen here. Give yourself grace. You don't have to never make another mistake. You don't have to have 0 debt. You don't even have to have a perfect budget because, well, one, the perfect budget doesn't exist. But the thing that is important that our kids see is that you are modeling apologizing when we're wrong, adjusting when things are off, planning ahead so that we can achieve those goals. And you know what? When we stumble and fall, that we keep trying. Those are the kind of things that they're going to see, because our children don't need a wealthy parent. They need a parent who shows them that money problems have solutions that things are figure outable, and that moving forward is healthy for all of us. So make sure that we're giving ourselves grace. And mom, I know that is so much easier said than done, but that's one of the things that we encourage each other in the Alliance coaching membership is, you know what? Sometimes we will make mistakes and we won't get things right, but we are a community that is going to encourage and remind each other what grace looks like for each of us. So, to recap, raising kids on a budget doesn't have to be about deprivation and restriction. It's about making intentional choices with our money. And every single one of these conversations that you have with your kids, and really, it can be 30 seconds, it could be a couple minutes. Those are little seeds that you're planting that are teaching them something. So, also, our budgets are the greatest gift that we can give our families because it helps create security for us. And then that ripples out. They see that and they feel that in our home. So this week, I encourage you to involve your kids in one money decision. It could be comparing cereal prices at the grocery store or choosing maybe a free family activity. There's a lot of things, especially summertime. There's a lot of things going on, community activities. Have them choose one that you all are going to do together. Or maybe they're gonna help you on that next grocery trip or that next grocery order. These little moments really do add up. So if you're like, you know what, this sounds really good. I have been listening to the show for a while. I want to encourage you, if you need some additional support in this area, maybe you want that reminder about how important how important it is to give each other grace, then I encourage you to check out the Alliance Coaching membership. I will link it in the show notes, but you can also find it at jewlsthebudgetnerd.com/membership. That's JEWLZ, thebudgetnerd.com/membership. And this is what we do. We build these systems. We talk about these things. We encourage each other because your kids won't remember every dollar that you spend on them, but they will remember the values that you lived, the peace that you created in your home, and the confidence you help them build around money. See you in the next episode. Hey there, I'm Jewlz the Budget Nerd, and welcome to the Debt Rebel Show. This is the place where working families like yours learn how to stop living paycheck to paycheck, crush debt for good, and build a life where money actually works for your family. In about 15 minutes, I'll share practical family budgeting tips, tough love strategies, and actionable steps to move toward debt-free living without the fluff, the shame, or the confusion. And I know a thing or two about this. My family and I have eliminated over $107,000 in consumer debt, and that was after I got my degree in economics. So stay tuned. This is going to be a great episode. So grab that coffee, your planner, whatever you need to make this a great experience, maybe a snack if you're like me, and let's make your money work for your family.